academics, sports and physiology.
They call you all kind of names, this and that, and then they come out
Study
from
life, we chase the dream.
the discrepancy.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Juanita Goodwell. I am a coach over at Southside High School and really excited to continue my journey doing this work that we're doing here at ASAP. And thank you for joining us tonight. Academic Sports and Physiology is all about connecting with our young people and getting them a little bit more information beyond the sport. And today I'm joined with my co-host, JJ Foster, another great coach in the community, as well as a special guest that we have tonight joining us. And hopefully we'll have some good conversations. Mr. Jovan Barnes. So tonight we have a little conversation. There's so much on the plate that we wanted to talk about, but we do have a couple of things that we just want to make mention of. The ASAP is sponsoring a couple of camps this summer, and you can go to the website to get that information for soccer and flag football, ages K through 12, and you can go to ourneutralvoices.org to get that information. As part of the journey that we're doing here is connecting our young people with resources in the community. There's a really big thing that's happening here in Indiana that's kind of taken hold, and we need to learn a lot more about it, and I know we'll have more shows on it, but we're going to kind of just dive into that. But if, we can, I'm going to turn it over to JJ just to kind of say hello and tell us what's been going on with him before we introduce our guests.
I appreciate that, Coach. I was going to say, you got up to the high dive and dove right off in there. We got a Fort Wayne legend here. And, as you said, with ASAP, we try to bring folks from the neighborhood that have made it, that have become successful. They played in some of these same gyms, very gyms that a lot of young people are playing in right now. So anytime we get an opportunity to sit down and chat with, our own, that's what we want to do. Jovan played at Southside and played at Bishop Lewis, very high schools right here in our fair city. So my first thing I want to talk to us about that. How did you started at South and then you went to Lewis? Talk to us a little bit about that. Talk to us about Fort Wayne High School athletics, what it meant to you, and how you decided you was going to transfer.
Well, thank you for that intro. I know a lot of people throw out legend and all that. I'm just a kid from the 260 Fort Wayne, Southside High School, Southside part of Fort Wayne, and watching great players like Adrian Reese and others. I mean, I wanted to be like Adrian when I was a little kid. I tell him that all the time. Just growing up watching those guys like Virgil Tharp, my cousin, and playing against my own first cousin, Jason Barnes, it was one of those things where you woke up and you wanted to be great every day. Mm-hmm. You couldn't wake up and start slacking because they're gonna call you out. I mean, one of my earliest memories as a little kid. Went out there on Chatham Drive and playing against all the older kids, all the Reeses and everybody. And I mean, they didn't cut me any slack. I was 5, 6 years old. Didn't cut me any slack. And those are life lessons that stayed with me to this day. So eventually I did get to Southside High School, watching Cam Stevens, another guy that I looked up to. They beat us up. We were freshmen. Our freshman team went undefeated, but we got beat up every day in practice. And that made us tougher. It made us into men. Those life lessons of, hey, nothing's going to come easy. I passed that stuff along to my son, and my sophomore year at Southside High School, we did all right. We did very well. Cam was the leading scorer. People forgetting Fort Wayne, who was the leading scorer after Cam left. It was yours truly in basketball. I ended up playing a little bit of baseball and football as well, obviously. I played a little bit of quarterback, then they switched me over to receiver, and I really flourished at that position because I really wanted to play quarterback. Played quarterback all the way through middle school and Metro, and I thought that was going to be what I was going to do for my I guess, my football future. But the coaches made a good decision, switched me over. But a lot of people thought I switched for football reasons. I switched over to Bishop Luers for basketball reasons. I wanted to, I guess, have a different role. And I had a cousin over there, Mike Lito, a couple other guys I knew, and I switched over to Bishop Luers, and that's when everything took off. I was an All-State, two-time All-State guy. I was third in Mr. Football. Did real well in the classroom as well, and ended up getting a lot of scholarship offers. Went to Notre Dame out of high school, number 4 in the country at the position, and those lessons I learned early on, fighting against Adrian Reese and them, and getting those hits in the head by Cam Stevens and them. I just told him, Cam Stevens, a couple days ago, I said, man, you were one of the people I looked up to, and I wouldn't be where I am today without you and others competing against you guys and looking up to you guys. So I know that's a long answer, but I meant every word, because those I guess those points in your journey, you really need to look back and say, okay, yeah, these are the lessons I learned, and I want to, pass that along to the people I love, my son, my daughters, and the other young people that I'm connected to.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer. And, and every time I listen to people talk, it's about what I hear. And I heard you talk about who you looked up to, and you giving credit. Now you get a lot of people that younger people, they want to talk about how they better than somebody. They'll come here and talk about, I looked up to Cam. Man, I was good as Cam. That's what got shoot Adrian. He was thinking he was this, that, the other. But you talking about what they did for you and how they helped you. And that's something that young people, they do need to listen and understand. Now, the other part, like you said, you went to Notre Dame, but then you went to a couple other schools. And I mean, right now, in the day of the portal and all that, no big. You was on the forefront of that. You was on
I know. I tell people all the time. I wish I wouldn't have done it. I was a hothead in school, but I was in the transfer portal before there was a transfer portal. But I was blessed enough to go through that and still get an opportunity to play professionally and play with the Jets and NFL Europe and bounce around. I wish I wouldn't have transferred all those times. I was so impulsive as a young person. And now, doing the job I'm doing now, I'm a sports agent, and I deal with athletes who are trying to make that decision, or they made that decision to transfer. And I tell them, I do not sugarcoat my journey and all the pros and cons. And I tell them, hey, if you do this, you need to know what you're getting into. Now, the circumstances are different now because there's money involved. It's like night and day compared to what I was going through versus what these kids are facing now, because it's 6-7 figures sometimes. That decision is a big-time decision. And I hate when a lot of people want to blame the kids for all of these transactions. It ain't the kids' fault. The kids are the last people you need to blame. There's a lot of adults in the system that were exploiting kids, and the kids are now starting to get a piece of the pie. I do joke, and I'm not boasting or bragging when I say this, but if I was in the NIL era in high school going into college, I would have made some money, But it is it's a lot of challenges. Good and bad for these kids. They are professionals now in high school. That's just the reality of our situation.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask. So, and that's part of the, when JJ told me that you're going to be stepping on stage with us tonight, that was part of the, the questions that I wanted to dive into in regards to, what is that advice? What is that, who is that kid, that's going to, get that opportunity, and what are people looking for? But before you can get into that, I wanted to go back to one of the things that you said as you were telling us, the story in the transfers and making those things happen, the first thing that happened was they switched your position, right? And so as coaches, right, you know, one of the biggest things that we always try to tell our kids is like, you got to trust me. You just have to trust me, right? And was that a difficult transition for you to accept, or was that just something that, you know, you just believed so much in what the adults were giving you?
It was difficult at first.
Okay.
Because obviously the quarterback position is the glamour position. I was pretty good at it, you know. And especially in Metro and in middle school, I was really, really good at it. But I really didn't get mad too long because I had some success early on at the wide receiver position. I still remember my first touchdown I scored at wide receiver. Antoine Taylor. He's probably someone's going to hit Antoine up about this, but I was playing the slot. I was running a corner route against Northrop, and man, I hit the route pretty good too. At the top of the route, I stuck my foot down, and I knew he was going to throw it to me. He threw it up, and I jumped up and caught it, scored my first touchdown, and didn't look back. And I really tried to, perfect the craft. I studied some of the top wide receivers around that time, you know, like Chris Carter, Jerry Rice, eventually Randy Moss. I was in a position where I had, you know, my father put me in the position to meet some of those individuals and learn a little bit more about them. And those summers, my junior and senior year, I'll say this, and I'm not, this is no exaggeration, there was no one working harder than myself and my cousin. I mean, there were some times we were doing some stuff that I think they would call CPS on some folks, people that was helping us work out. But that really put me in the position where I could show the world that I deserved those offers or whatever, because I put the work in the summertime, you know, and again, I go back to, I said this 2-3 times, these are the things that I'm telling my son, you know. I think sometimes these kids, they see all these 5 stars, 4 stars, all these highlights, and they think it just comes easily.
Right.
I tell them those long, hot, crazy days that, I mean, I was dead tired. I still had to get up. You know, we keep it 100 in my house, and he knows what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you had your playing days, and you talked about self-proclaimed hothead, and I think before you got in the agent's business, I'm at school conferences, and we talking, you know, you was in the school system.
Yep.
And then I promise it, I blinked. Next thing I know, you in the family business. So when did you make that pivot, or was that always something that you wanted to do, or when did you decide that's the route that you wanted to go?
Well, I was doing some stuff behind the scenes during that time. I didn't tell anybody. I mean, but people downtown knew. You know, I mean, there's no secrets in this world. You know, they kind of knew, and they turned a blind eye. Because hey, I did my job when I was doing my day job, but I, you know, back then I was doing some stuff behind the scenes, and then I made the decision right before my son was born that, you know, hey, I want to really help out, you know, young people in sports. I love being around the kids. I went downtown. Eventually, I went downtown. Eventually, I was the head of all enrollment for Fort Wayne Community Schools. But then I was like, there's something missing. I want to. I believe that I'm better served being a mentor and a guide to people trying to be NFL players. Mm-hmm. And I got certified with the NFLPA about almost 15 years. And never looked back. I mean, you know, I was able to sign, you know, first rounders all the way down to guys undrafted, but they got second and third, fourth, fifth chances. You know, this last year I had a couple guys in the Super Bowl. I've been able to connect with all kinds of people. And I look at it like, okay, you're in the position to help guide these young people. They got a platform, they got money, how can you continue to be a shining light and added value and help this young man or young woman go through this journey. And it's going to be short. Even if you play 10, 15 years, it's still short. You're still going to be a young person. How can you help this person be a better person when they're done? And that's my North Star. You know, I'm trying to help these guys be better people and young ladies be better people when they get done with this.
Well, before having that experience, right, and your own personal journey, able to, tap into that, I know that there's so much influence, right, and there's so many things that just even as a coach that we're having to compete with, right? But is there a blueprint, right? Is there a thing that a kid can kind of put in play, follow, try to line up to get him to that mindset and that, that path to possibly be successful, moving on to the next level?
Yeah.
Something that you've seen that's been consistent with, those that are finding their way.
Yeah. The first thing is, make sure that you take care of what you need to take care of academically. Okay. Because, you can get away with slacking academically if you are one of one athletically, right? Coaches are going to make excuses to put you out on the field, but there's not many one of one folks. Mm-hmm. When I say one of one, I mean like a LeBron James or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or a Myles Garrett. These are freaks of nature. These are one of one folks. Most likely you're not that. Even if you're great and you have 50 offers, you're not that. And they should even make sure that you do what you need to do academically. But the first thing is you do need to make sure you take care of everything you need to take care of academically, because it puts you in the position where the schools, the coaches, the evaluators don't have to say, well, it's between two people. I'm going to go with the guy that I know I ain't got to worry about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Second thing is you got to be coachable. Have to be coachable. Now, you don't have to agree with everything, because there are some coaches that's off. I know I'm sitting here with two coaches. I ain't perfect, and there's a lot of coaches who have a power trip and they can be off and they don't listen to, a player who might have some valid reasons why they say, well, I don't know if this is working. So I think trust needs to go both ways sometimes, and but the player does have to be coachable. They do. If you're not coachable, you can get away with it if you have some talent. You can get away with it if you are one of one. But if that one of one person is hurt, and their journey gets altered a little bit, and you're not coachable, then hey, it's still a business. They'll go find another young tenderoni. I know I'm showing my age, saying young tenderoni. But
I enjoyed that concert recently. So
but it's the truth. Be coachable, and then I think the final thing I would say is, always try to learn more about your craft, because you don't know everything. You don't. And even if you do, you still can learn a little bit more. I think the guys who play for a long time, I went to Rob Woodson's house a couple months ago, and we were talking about everything that's going on in the future and stuff like that. Got the Rob Woodson camp. Shout out Rob Woodson camp coming up in July. Make sure your kids go. But we were talking. Rod played 17 years in the league. Yes, sir. And he said, reason why I played 17 years, because I kept learning. Well, two reasons. One, he trained like a track runner his whole career. He ran on the track, not doing highlights and stuff on YouTube and stuff. He ran his whole career. But two, he kept learning. Mm-hmm. He kept learning about not only his position but other positions. He kept learning about route concepts and where you need to be at the right time. We talked about that. He said, "Man, these kids don't really want to learn anymore. They think they got it all." And the guys who are legends, the guys who have, Rod got a gold jacket and a red jacket. He's a top 100 guy. He ain't just a gold jacket guy. He's a red jacket too. In order to get to that level, or even close to that, or even considered to be a true legend, you got to always continue to learn. And I think sometimes it's missing with a lot of these young folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that work ethic, like you just said, you got to be willing. I've talked to Rod too, and he talked about some of these young folks that he'd worked out. They throwing up just after warm up. Mm-hmm. Like you said, and that's his thing is, you gonna work, and if he ain't throwing up, he wasn't working hard. Mm-hmm. But you exactly right. And then you hit on academics. Now that's interesting that you say that, because one of the things we always talked about since this portal, since NIL, I ain't heard nobody ineligible no more. Everybody getting into school, think about it, nobody's been ineligible.
Yeah.
But now you said you telling kids, and I mean, and that is excellent advice, because again, you're getting paid. Some of these kids getting paid in college, and to your point, they're not 1-on-1, they not 5 of the 20. Mm-hmm. So that money that you get, you're gonna need to know how to manage it and stretch it and make it work.
Well, and another thing that's real is there's still cuts in college, though. I mean, if you're not doing what you need to do academically, there's so many guys in the portal. There's so many guys that they're pulling from all different places. They will get rid of you. It's not, you sign a college scholarship and, it's a 4-year thing. No, this you could get let go after year 1. So that's why I tell kids, hey, if you're going through this journey, you should want to do well academically anyway. That should be in you, right? But let's say you got to kind of pull yourself to doing what you need to do in the classroom. Yeah, the motivation is you could get let go. And that's one of the reasons. I've talked to coaches, and I talked to GMs and assistant GMs in the college level, and they're like, hey, we'll just find somebody else if they're going to be acting a plum fool in the classroom. And they can't, and the crazy thing is they can. But I will say, for the high school kids, it's hard. The transfer portal has made it harder for the high school senior. And one way you're going to get passed up is if they look at your transcript and you got a lot of, D's and F's and all kind of stuff, they gonna pass you by, and unless they'll make some exceptions if you're one of one, and most folks aren't.
Yeah, and I don't think that a lot of our kids right now are realizing the impact that this transfer portal has had. Just even the IU football team. Right. Their average age of a player was 24.
Yeah.
So like they're going to get the kids that been in college and put in the work and are hungry for success, right away. Like they've done that. So it's changing it, right now.
Yeah.
So we're just trying. Oh, it's changed. Yeah. And it's just, like we definitely have a deeper dive that we need to get into with the new change that's coming on the table here in Indiana. But it's been going on in other states. So there's other, like examples to kind of look at. And we definitely, as coaches, just getting this information, are needing to learn kind of, what this means for us, in our settings. So we're not going to have time to like really dive deep into this, this new venture of high school sports now accepting here in Indiana, the NIL pathway. But, the transfer portal came, right?
Correct, yeah.
And that had a big impact.
Yeah.
And, and so now this is going to hit here, and it's like, what's next for us?
Well, I think it is going to be different than the college kind of environment, because you can't attach, well, they're calling it personal brand activities in the state of Indiana. They don't even want to label it as NIL, but it's NIL. You can't attach your school, and you can't attach, your sport to the personal brand activity. The only way you can, there's an exception if you're doing like a camp or something like that, but you still can attach your school. Okay. I was excited. People that know me in my inner circle, oh man, I was I was smiling ear to ear when everything got passed, because I think there's a lot of great opportunity for young people to be a part of, I guess, this marketing and PR world, and it'll teach them a lot of things. I mean, it teach them how to market. You know, what is your brand? How to manage money. You know, what should you say? I mean, you really, in that world, you really learn about yourself. And now it is going to take some work. There's going to be a lot of bad actors. I can see people trying to sign kids up with something, and they don't look at the fine print. Then the kid is ineligible, or they don't do it the right way. The one thing I know, and I'm eventually going to be sending out stuff to you guys, sending you guys invitations to seminars and stuff, all the coaches in Fort Wayne. Myself, DeMarcus Muhammad, Corey Jones, who has Fort Wayne ties, you know, and a couple other agents in town. I know we've talked internally. We want to be transparent with you guys as coaches and say, hey, we're going to sign these young men and ladies. These are the contracts they're going to sign, and these are the businesses they're going to connect with. And we've read the rules. We're not going to jeopardize your student athletes, you know, but we do see a pathway for them to be a part of this. And I'm not going to go in detail about all this, but for the past about 6-7 months, I've been planning on this very moment. We're already doing stuff with our NIL players, you know, like Tay Johnson, who, again, shout out. He has a camp coming up this weekend.
Fort Wayne kid.
Yeah, Tay Johnson, we represent. Jaquaden Guilford from Northrop kid, you know, he's at Ohio State. So we're already working with some 260 kids. We're going to be doing something similar with the high school kids with this personal brand activity, where they are going to connect with local businesses and some even national, regional businesses that are interested in working with our kids. But we are going to teach him and her how to do it the right way.
Okay. Well, I know. I mean, you know, we're all for, you know, opportunities, right? And, you know, as long as, you know, it's keeping it safe for our kids. And as a high school coach, right, looking forward to how it's going to work, but definitely trying to be informed so that we're all doing it the right way.
Informed and having opportunities. That's the part I'm excited about.
Well, you know, and now I do want to manage expectations. You know, I know the numbers y'all see on ESPN that the college kids are getting. I just want to say I'm a great negotiator. I can't pull a rabbit out of you know what. You know, there's going to be numbers that, you know, these kids can get, and if they do the work and they keep their nose clean and they actually really truly embrace, you know, marketing, because there's some young people that are whiz kids with TikTok, Instagram, on Facebook. I mean, they're better than, you know, 30 and 40-year-olds with this. Sure. They do the dances and all that. I mean, they can do it. It's going to take some work, but they can do it. I'm just excited that they're able to get some of those opportunities. But again, I want to just keep it real. You're not going to get what Tay Johnson's going to get. Sure. You're not, you know, because he's at one of the premier schools in the country.
He's playing on Sundays, yeah.
But and he's going to be playing on Sundays. But this opportunity can set you up if you continue to do the work and you're talented enough to get to that spot. And even if you don't, there's ways where I know what we're going to do. We're not only going to set these young men and women up with these local businesses. I want them to get connected to the decision makers and owners to see if we can turn that into an internship opportunity. Can we turn that into, even if it's not an internship opportunity, can you learn about, you know, how everything works? You know, so you can circle back maybe after they get done with college and say, hey, you know, I want to work for you guys. You know, so that's this kind of stuff that we were talking about internally.
Okay.
So you got a plan. That's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That's and like I said, I love hearing the plan. And I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to ask, and I got to ask, you work for, you was under your agency, you was with your dad and all that, and I know you got your new stuff. What made you decide to branch off? And I see you got ideas and things, so I mean, obviously you made different decisions through high school, through college, now outside, and we even talked about professional, we use that with the school system. Now you were here doing this, and then you branched off on your own. What kind of work?
Well, this very topic kind of forced me into thinking, having a forward-thinking mind, having a forward-thinking mindset. I mean, our agency, it's a lot younger. I'm linked up with a lot of young folks. We got probably about 13 folks that I work with, and I feel like I'm the old head. I got a lot of young tenderonis that I'm with. But with marketing, PR, with tech, eventually I'll talk about this wristband.
We're gonna bring you back, man. We're gonna.
I know.
We're gonna have to.
But we're partnering up with some storytelling entities. I mean, you have to do it to even be relevant in our space. I mean, you can't even talk about just sports anymore. And I made the decision to go that route. It was not an easy decision because, I mean, for obvious reasons, and I don't want to go in detail with that, but seeing what the industry is doing right now and the decision of NIL and the state of Indiana and all that, I mean, you have to be tapped in all these areas: marketing, PR, NIL, podcasts, storytelling, you name it. So,
okay.
I'm a business teacher, so I would love to chat also about how I can bring a little bit of that into the classroom. So there's a lot on the table that we can definitely talk about. What is it that Bruce has to say?
Like, share, subscribe. There you go. Like, share, subscribe. Shout out to Bruce. He out there getting tore out the frame in D.C. I know Irvin, they'll probably tearing you up. You out there, Big Trey and Brian and them. So, but yes. Hey, Bruce, we miss you, man. We'll see you when you get back.
Well, thanks again for joining us tonight. We're definitely going to be bringing you back once we get a little bit more into the NIL conversation. Great ideas and good things to discuss. JJ, thank you for, your little engagement tonight. And thank you for everyone that is watching this and will watch this and for supporting this conversation. So until the next time, have a good night.
Academics, sports and
They call
physiology.
you all kind of names, this and that, and then they come out
Study
from
life, we chase the dream.